up something I think that's kind of important, this report I mentioned. 300 government officials, economists, scientists, and industry executives gathered at this energy convention symposium, and a leading nuclear weapons physicist said at the event, it has been calculated that temperature rise corresponding to a 10% increase in carbon dioxide will be sufficient to melt the ice caps and submerge New York. All the coastal cities would be covered. And since a considerable percentage of the human race lives in coastal regions, I think that this chemical contamination is more serious than most people tend to believe. That was Edward Teller in 1959.
Rock-ribbed conservative, by the way. He was yeah, I mean, it's just fascinating that, honestly, it's just a sign of how much the politics of these issues has changed.
Everybody's got to apologize for something before you go on with it. But the UN climate report that came out this week says basically 2040, we could see a world that we just can't recognize. And I don't know what people have to, what fire has to be lit under them, because we see it happening right now. And I guess the problem is we walk outside here in Los Angeles and it was a beautiful day. And when Kanye said, I thought the funniest thing he said was, we can't think about tomorrow. Yeah, but maybe we should think about tomorrow. I seem to remember somebody actually running on the slogan, don't stop thinking about tomorrow. No comments on that? Okay, all right. And I have one more.
Look at the areas where you actually are seeing some progress. There are things that are actually not terribly well known. So, for example, carbon capture and storage. The tax credit for that has drastically increased. That's legislation Donald Trump signed. He signed legislation that's designed to boost advanced nuclear. He is someone who has said a lot of random things about climate change, but there are things happening behind the scenes in which Democrats and Republicans are working together. And the problem is that there's so much.
Really? That must be very, very, very far behind the scenes.
Yeah, it is, but that's kind of the point, Bill. There's so much partisan enmity right now, exactly what Steve was talking about, that actually it's only in those spaces where you haven't politicized something yet, when it hasn't become a partisan issue, that's when you actually
It's not a partisan issue.
It shouldn't be. I agree with you.
But you combine with what you just said with the fact that he's rolling back emissions for cars and light trucks, that he's
trying to and failing.
Trying to roll back Obama-era regulations on methane gas, coal power plants.
Says radiation is good for you.
Deregulation, the policy of deregulation, and what it means for our environment, right? Almost
absolutely trying and failing. He's trying and failing because, frankly, he's doing it in such slapdash fashion that these things aren't making it through the courts. This is just a reality.